Greetings, scholars and students of history. Welcome to another voyage with legendary conquests as we explore one of the most important clashes in the ancient world, the 490 BC Battle of Marathon. Over the next minutes, we'll examine this pivotal struggle between the armies of Athens and Plataea against the vast Persian host in greater detail than ever before. Strap in as I take you through the strategic situation, order of battle, innovations in tactical doctrine, and climax of crimson resolve that decided Western civilization's fate. But first, did you know Christmas trees were banned in the Puritan colonies? What a curious fact. Anyway, let's return to sun-baked Attica in the epochal summer of 490 BC. By this time, the rising Persian Empire under Darius had subjugated a vast swath of lands from Egypt to Afghanistan. Only Greek cities remained free from Persian dominion in Asia Minor and Europe. Athenian support for Ionian rebellions and refusal to submit infuriated Darius, who vowed to humble Athens as an example. In response, the Persians under Datis and Artaphernes landed an invasion army near Marathon in September to conquer Greece's heartland of Attica. Their armada stretched as far as the eye could see, according to chroniclers. With it and supply lines by sea assured, victory seemed within grasp. Panic seized Athens, whose fate and that of Greece now rested on the shoulders of 10,000 hoplite warriors, some 9,000 Athenians and 1,000 from their Plataean allies. They faced a Perso-Median force, likely over 25,000 strong, including Greek subject levies. The small odds surely weighed on the generals' minds. Chief among these was Miltiades, a former tyrant of Chersonese with experience battling Persians in the Ionian Revolt. He urged facing the invaders in open battle rather than ceding Attica's fields or skulking behind city walls. His bold strategy aimed to surprise and negate Persian advantages through terrain, training, and timing. The others convened an anxious war council in Athens, debating their insufficient numbers against Darius's limitless legions. However, Miltiades' reputation and logic won the day. Better to meet the Persians on chosen ground than cede initiative. A daring offensive offered Athens sole hope. All present braced to stake Greece's destiny on the throw of a spear. With council ended, Miltiades circulated among the ranks, exhorting individual soldiers and whole taxis with his charismatic enthusiasm. He stressed how everyday Athenians stood between their wives' enslavement by barbarians or glorious victory for Hellenic freedom. Though outnumbered, unity and moral fervor could triumph over darkness. Braced by confidence in their general and cause, the defenders readied themselves as Miltiades began arranging his plan. That evening, under a cerulean sky, the army solemnly marched east from Athens along the coast road. 10,000 boots clad in hoplite panoplies rattled as the host traversed the countryside, souls weighed by the immensity looming ahead. By early dawn, they arrived near a low ridge, parallel with the shore around a mile inland of Marathon Bay, a suitable spot for their coming trial. Before the light of Helios first crested the Aegean, Miltiades inspected deployments as captains organized their taxis into rigid phalanx blocks. Athenian regiments formed the center stalwart veterans who defended Attica for generations. Their sturdy round pelt shields and doru spears bristled outward in impregnable hedgehog formations, tempered bonds of loyalty holding each formation's sturdy ranks together. On either flank stood Plataean and Athenian wings. Javelin-armed Siloas skirmishers screened outward, screening the flanks or harrying enemy cavalry when battle opened. With right of land and sea ensured. All was now ready as the sun's rays spilled across the grassy plain and glittered upon spear points. Only the enemy's approach remained. Now, pausing in my delivery for a moment of reflection, I'm struck once more by the courage and conviction of these farmers and laborers who, against all odds, ready to safeguard their families and way of life. Though knowing Persia's hordes could drown them in blood, still they resolved in freedom's defense with minds like adamant. History's thanks are ever theirs. But let us return to those anxious, morn-turned shadows creeping eastwards, not knowing but prepared for whatever fate held in ambush. Miltiades made final preparations, then strode between the ranks to steel men's souls for the looming confrontation. At length, a lookout's shout announced the foe's advance from Marathon's lee. The clash that would define continents had come. Through their raised hoplon rims, the Greeks beheld a shimmering tide blotting the plain and shore from edge to edge. Imperial banners streamed as the Persians proudly deployed in gleaming panoplies of many lands, Ionian and Carducci warriors, serving their Achaemenid masters with resentful servility. Datis and Artaphernes exhibited Darius's countless troops, like a force of nature to cow Greeks before harrowing contact. For a breathless span, all stood absorbed in statuesque contemplation of might and mortality. Then at some unheard signal, Datis spurred his horsemen and skirmishers forward in a great, swooping mass. Cavorting scythe-bladed horsemen and swarms of slingers and archers sought first blood through feints, across the Athenian wings and center, intent on probing for weaknesses before loosing the terror of their foot. But Miltiades' precautions manifested Greek javelineers harried on flanks and retreating cavalry to bog in wetlands, disrupting equestrian shock action. Seeing the wings secure, anticipation boiled in every Greek breast behind their locked shields as the infantry hordes began churning across the grasses. The die was cast. Zeus and freedom now demanded earnest defense. With war cries and pounding feet, the hostilities erupted, two worlds colliding in an earth-shaking convulsion. Hatred and history united Athenians as one indomitable organism against an oppression-wearing Persian faces. Their impenetrable phalanx and leonine defense blunted Asia's finest spearmen as wave after wave crashed uselessly against an unyielding tidewall of bronze. The struggle seesawed for hours as sunbeams angled starker across newly spilled gore. Datis threw brigade after brigade determined to pierce Greek obduracy. Median immortals clashed with desperate fury. Saka hulking brutes smashed bodies apart. Yet each charge merely honed Athenian resolve, hardening bonds of fellowship in fraternal blood. Their numbers swelled, wave crested upon wave as families' survival inflamed tenacious hearts. Slowly but surely, Persia's initially dominant reaping yielded to grim Athenian pruning. Corpses carpeted the field, draining Persian waves of vigor and faith. By noontide, some saw omens of rout brewing at the edges despite veteran effort. Niggling realizations of mortality infected once fearless souls. Their vaunted hosts had brought only terror, Greeks' righteous anger, as a shroud to ward off death's madness. Then at last, like floodgates unleashed, the dam of endurance burst and Miltiades sensed opportunity. With a fierce exhortation, he dispatched a choice 1,000 hoplites into a fearsome flanking maneuver through a gap in the Persian left encircling and rending them apart from within. Shock and terror gripped the invaders at betrayal by fate. Omens proving false where divinities stood at Greek sides. Like locusts under a burnt sun, the mass broke ranks in sheer desperation to flee Marathon's cursed fields. Abandoning felled brethren and floating weaponry in their haste back to the shore, Persia's legendary military agglomeration shattered under a gale of valor. Exhausted but exultant, Greeks gave chase and punishment wherever weakness lingered among the stampede, driving enemies into waves as grinning sea gods claimed their forfeit. So by dusk did the Battle of Marathon finalize amongst bleeding grasses and lapis waves. Over 6,400 Persians laid vanquished by fewer than 200 Greek losses, an incredible feat posterity marvels at even now. Miltiades and his few thousand farmers, craftsmen and tradesmen had withstood the vaunted might of Darius's confident hordes through discipline, daring, and democratic ferocity. Their victory secured Greek autonomy and lit freedom's beacon across coming eons. What a transcendent and inspiring tale, encapsulating the essential human virtues which shaped our civilization. I hope today you gained new insights into ancient warfare and understood Marathon's meaning for global history. As always, thanks for watching. Stay tuned next time as we explore Rome's legendary Marian reforms and Punic Wars. Until then, keep learning,